Hey everyone, I'm here with Warboss Fitz, and we're going to have a chat about 3.5. We're going to go over some of the general stuff, just how we sort of feel about the overall feel of the game and some of the new mechanics and stuff. And then we're going to probably discuss a couple armies each we'll each pick a couple armies and discuss them in a bit more detail. And then if there's time for a shoot the breeze section, we'll do that too, but we'll just play that one by ear. Hey, well, thank you so
Hmm.
much for joining me, Warboss Fitz. It's really great to have you on, and I've actually been looking forward to this conversation since I saw your tier list on 3.4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The 3.4 tier list, like when the first one I made was totally, it was mostly taking the piss. The first one was, and the second one we did more of an actual tier list. But yeah, cool.
yeah, I did my tier list. I think it started just before third edition came out, and then I updated it for like 3.3 or something like that. I think it was at the time, and yeah. I think the thing is, it's just about having fun, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, for us, this is all opinions. So don't take anything we say as absolute gospel. Everyone can have a different opinion on the topic, so that's fine.
Yeah. What's that saying? It's like everything I do is calculated, but sometimes, damn, I'm bad at math.
Yeah, I certainly can commiserate with that one for sure. Uh, Alright, so 3.5. I reckon if we get some of the general stuff out of the way first. Overall, how do you feel that 3.5 is sort of worked out for you as a game?
3.5. In the beginning, it was when the first beta came out, or when beta first came out, it was a little bit rough just because the words were kind of choppy. Uh, Stuff didn't really. I've been playing war games a long time, so I could take the verbiage of the rules and I could break those down into something that I could see the way the rules were intended to be played. But a lot of people in the beginning just it was a little bit of a mess in the beginning. But then as things have gone on, uh, we've come back to we circled back around to where it's a better war game now. Like in the beginning, I would have people. Oh, in the beginning, I had people from my friend group. I was getting 16, 17, 20 messages a day. Oh my God, you see this? What's going on here? My army is ruined. I'm never going to play it again. And I'm like, I had to talk people off the ledge and be
Yeah.
like, just play. Let Put your feedback in. We can make this better. So
Yeah, I mean, because I can understand the idea behind that. Because for me, I was a big high elf fleets guy. High elf fleets were my main dudes, and then they took Rending off them and gave them crack, and I was like, oh my god, it's crack is so much of a downgrade for this one. I was a big proponent of pushing crack up to AP2 because I thought, well, AP2 sort of, I think balances a little bit better. But yeah, I have to admit there was a lot of stuff that people were like, oh my god, it's so complicated now. How's this gonna work and all this kind of stuff? And I was like, well, play some games first and then figure out if it's actually too complicated or not. Which I think a lot of people had this knee jerk reaction. They hadn't even played any games yet. And I mean, I will say my first video was sort of like a, well, this is my sort of overview of what's going on, but I'll make another one when I play a few games. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and what I discovered too is that playing it and reading it were two completely separate animals. And that's kind of why I decided, well, almost in the very beginning, I was like, we're gonna play test the crap out of this. We're gonna do a live stream every night to show that these are not that bad. And even then, we've had a few armies that I've gone right to the feedback and been like, okay, this one might be a little bit of a stinker.
Yeah. There's definitely some armies that certainly took it a bit hard, I think, the transfer over. But there's also other armies that I would have said were pretty in 3.4 that are now like, oh no, these guys are actually viable as an army now. Like they're not just a detachment, because I think
Right.
Titan Lords is a big one. I think they were definitely a detachment army. You did not want to try and make a Titan Lord army, but they've added in those mini Titans or whatever they are for like 200 points. It's like, well, now you can actually make a somewhat viable list with these guys.
Yeah, Titan Lords before were definitely a 5,000 points and over, and even then you'd have 4 on the board. But now that you've got the mini Titans and you've got the little stuff in between, you're able to make something that can at least have a chance to get on objectives. So
Yeah,
you should be good
exactly.
there.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing with one page rules is objective play is the game, right? Like destroying your enemy, fantastic, but really at the end of the game, if you hold 3 objectives and you got no army left, you still win.
Right, yeah, if you're going for like the competitive style of the game, or just going to win the game at all. Sometimes I admit I just put stuff on the board. I just want to roll dice and make pew pew noises, so I don't care about objectives sometimes.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. My son's very similar. I got him into wargaming when he was 4. He's 8 now. And he just likes blowing shit up. Like that's pretty much how he plays. He's getting a bit better at the objective play because he does sort of like to win as well. But he's pretty much like, I managed to kill like over half your army. I'm happy. I don't care that I didn't win.
Exactly. Yeah, things start going downhill, and I'm like, I just start going. I want to kill that thing.
Yeah, that guy's gonna die like yesterday. That's pretty much what I'm at. If I know I'm losing, I'm like, well, I'm gonna take something valuable out with me, basically. But yeah, so all right, so if we get a bit more into like the sort of nitty gritty of things, I think one of the big positives that this edition has done is that it's centralized all of our keywords. So instead of having 3 different names for if you roll a 6, you get an additional hit. It's now like Surge, even though Furious does still exist, but it's slightly different from Surge. I personally think overall that was a much better change. We've now got keywords that just cover everything. How do you feel about that one?
Well, I do like that there are the most of the rules have been standardized, like you said. Surge to Furious, and then Bane is what Poison used to be across all the different armies.
Yeah.
And then there's the crack and the surge and devastating and stuff like. So if you see a word in the army and you don't know what it, like, say your opponent hands you a sheet of what their army list is, you could look at it. You have a pretty good idea of what that is. Now the army special rules being different names. That's the one now that's like, so I got to look that up and be like, what does that do? Oh, that's the same as the other one. So it's like we did good in standardizing it in one side,
Yeah.
but then he brought in a whole new category of rules that are unstandardized. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that it's just one across the whole army. I can make that work.
Yeah. I think the reasoning behind that is that, like, if you take someone like Orcs who have Ferocious now, and they can also stack Surge with it, because it's, rules don't stack on top of each other. So I think
Right.
that's the idea behind it, but I agree. I do think that that every single army having their own fancy name also it muddies the waters a little bit, for sure. But
I mean, but yeah, it's one of those. It's not that muddy.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's just the one per, so it should be all right.
Yeah, so I mean, it should be good, and it is nice that now every army does have, okay, sort of their own special ability. Obviously, there are some exceptions.
Right.
Primal is one of the ones that I bring up quite regularly. I feel like Primal is too prevalent over too many armies. Blood Brothers have it, which I don't mind them because they're kind of like an offshoot of Battle Brothers anyway. But you got Saurians, who I think it should be their ability, and now you also have Eternal Dynasty have it now, and I really like their old ability. I know it needed to be balanced a bit more because half range +1 AP is a bit powerful, but I sort of feel like giving them Primal was a bit of a like, really?
Well, yeah, and then there's the Blessed Sisters and the Orcs have
Yeah.
pretty much the same ability with Devout and Furious.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I dabble on Reddit occasionally, and I I try not to. I've been banned on Reddit with so many different accounts, but uh, I tend to poke at things, and people are like, well, they're so. The latest argument is like, oh, they've gone back to bland because army special rules aren't specific to the army. It's like, well, they were in the beginning, but then things got muddy. We'll
Yeah.
say muddy in there. So yeah, the army special rules, it's the first of your building blocks of the army.
Yeah.
So they do feel different. And the thing I like to bring up is like 10 orc berserkers with speed boast and fear 3 and AP4 weapons feel different from, fanatics with devout and rending and regeneration. So
Yeah.
being your first building block on what you want the army to be, being different enough from like having one of, I don't know how many. I should look this up. How many actual separate army rules are there? It's like 10 different ones, but having one of those 10 is, being as your first step. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. I think that's fair enough. Well, see, I was a big proponent of. I felt like that the armies are already pretty different in 3.4. To be honest, like I know that a lot of people like, well, this rule and this rule are pretty similar. It's like, yeah, but if you take something like devout, like from 3.4, it makes the Blessed Sisters want to play at that sort of short range gun range, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and that's completely different from how you may play something like well, orcs with extra shooty, for example, right? Like with extra shooty, you kind of don't really care about that 12-inch range. You just want to try and get a gun that gets a ridiculous amount of shots that you can snowball with, right? So I always felt like
Right.
I feel like it was a little unfounded. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they did that for 3.5. I do see the idea behind it, but I always felt that it being simplistic was a bit of an unfounded criticism of the system, to be honest.
Whenever someone their first reaction was, "Oh, all the armies are the same," that's when I know that person has only played like one game or
Yeah.
not played it at all. Like in a cursory look across the armies, just oh, all you only have two stats, so that means it must be the same. It's like no, there's lots of depth to this that you just don't see just looking at a unit stat line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just for the record, because I mean, I did come from Warhammer to one page rules. I just recently finished playing Eighth Edition, and I was like, I know they're going to start bringing codexes out soon, and that was my reason for transitioning into one page rules. And honestly, when it first started, I was like, well, it's only got two stats, quality and defense. And I was like, oh, that weirds me out. So no strength or toughness or anything. And then I played a few games. And I'm like, oh my god, it's so much better because, well, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more because you can fit a lot more games in of one page rules, right? Like you can fit like three or
Yep.
four into like one game of Warhammer sometimes. And I just really liked that about the system. So I like the fact that it's got quality and defense as the main stat lines, and on it obviously like it's got all the different special abilities, and you'd be surprised just how much that changes. Like even having something like good or bad shot can really change how you approach an army.
hmm hmm Yeah, and I it took me three editions of 40K to finally move over to OPR entirely. It went for I saw I first discovered OPR. Feels weird when I say it that way. I found OPR in eighth, played a little bit back then, was like, okay, this is cool. Then ninth edition came out, and I jumped back into ninth edition because everyone around here played 40K.
Yeah.
Played ninth edition, but at that point, OPR had already started to get a grip on me. So I was like, well, I mean, I could play one game of 40K, or I could go play OPR and just throw dice and have fun instead of this ultra competitiveness that 40K is. And then when 10th edition came out, I just threw my hands up. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with 40K.
Yeah.
I've I've spent hundreds of dollars on like my orc codexes alone. I'm done.
Yeah, and price is definitely one of the things. And one of the other things I like is that like armies are very straightforward, which lets you kind of work out what strategy we want to approach them. One of the problems I had with 40k was that You know, every army has like 4 to 5 special rules that only their army gets access to. And so if you want to play decently against another person, you've kind of got to know what their special rules are too. And it's like, oh geez, what does Assault Doctrine do again? It's like I don't play Space Marines, and it's like, oh yeah, every round they can be doing something different. Like it's like shit. Well, with one-page rules, it's just like, yeah, this is what the army does. They got Furious and this and this, and it's like, oh, great, I know exactly what those 3 abilities can do, so I don't want to go anywhere near those assholes, basically.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think, but the 3.5 overall, I think is been doing a really good shot. Oh, actually, one of the other things I wanted to bring up, because this is something that a lot of people brought up in several of my comment sections, marking all the new tokens. How do you feel about all the new buffing and debuffing and all the token tracking and everything like that?
Well, the token tracking has definitely been toned down from the beginning of 3.5.
Yeah, I
Now,
agree.
yeah, now I think armies have access to like 1 or 2 different token types, and it's either something you put on them during the game during an activation, or it's something that you start the game with and you put on things. I mean, I think there's a few of those left over in there, but it's not that hard anymore. Especially someone who, if you ever played 40K, it's one of those things that you just the small number of tokens compared to what can happen in a 40K game are different from this. And even new players that are just starting out where OPR is their first game, which I've run into quite a few of those
Yeah.
lately, where you know this is their entry point into the wargaming, which I think is probably a good thing, because I've had lots of friends and people I've introduced to Wargame that just bounced right off of Games Workshop games, and these are simple enough. They seem to stick around, but 2, 3, 4 tokens are fine. Usually, what I find with those units, if it's like a piercing token, like this once per activation, you put a token out that gets AP +1. You're just going to use that in the art on the unit that you're charging anyways. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to activate, I'm going to token that one, I'm going to charge you. I have AP -1. I didn't even put the token out because I'm going to use it immediately.
Yeah, that's what I found myself as well. But one of the big things I heard was, oh, it's going to add so much extra time to the game. At most, I noticed maybe it takes 15 minutes longer than it did before. At most, and it's like it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, like maybe more like 5,
Yeah.
or like I just said, you don't even put them out the
Yeah,
unit.
yeah,
Just say I
exactly.
have AP1. It's fine.
Yeah, Eternal Dynasty. It was like they had ignore cover tokens when I was playing them the most, and it was just like most of the time I'd just be like, activate these guys, I put an ignore cover token, and I shoot at them, and I take the token off basically, so I'm not even going to bother putting it down.
Right.
So it was super easy just to sort of do that, and yeah, as you said, most factions like the maximum number of tokens they sort of have are 2. I think High Elf Fleets may be the rare exception where they have 3, because I think they've got Unwieldy as well, Unwieldy in close combat, and they've got
Hmm.
another one, and I think they've got like a sort of +1 AP one as well. So, but that is like a rare, very rare exception in the list of armies that have more than 2 tokens, and yeah, most only have 1. So.
Hmm.
I really think
Hmm.
that anyone watching who is freaking out about tokens, once you play it enough, it's really not a worry anymore. Uh,
Yeah, and by playing enough, it means once you use your first token, you'll
yeah,
be like, oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, for me, after about game 35, it's just like second. I wouldn't even say it was that long, but it's just like you don't even really notice it anymore at that point. Like. You may notice it for like the first 5 games where you're like, oh shit, that's right, gotta put a token down. But once you hit the later one, you're just like, yeah, here, have some tokens, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, and things are, like I said, things are different now in 3.5 than they were in the beginning. In the beginning, it was like you'd need 6, 7 different tokens
Oh,
per army, and
yeah.
now, like we said, it's just like 1 or 2.
Yeah, there was one thing that there was one token thing that I sort of wish they had built on a little bit, which they got rid of. But Lust Disciples, when they first came out, they got a set number of tokens at the start of the game that let them like move fast with different units, and I thought that was an interesting concept. You know, because it's like, well, I can hold them back and decide to unleash fast at some point when I actually need it instead of having it all the time. Obviously, I didn't build on that, which is fine. You know, like it's not a big deal. But I was interested to see where it went.
Yeah, I think the problem that a lot of the Havoc stuff had is their tokens were like they're all or nothing army special rules. So it's like it felt weird that your special rule for the army was only going to be used once per unit per game.
Yeah.
So, so if there was something like they have now, where everyone has like a blanket rule in the army, and then like if they had tokens that added an extra thing to it once per game, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, oh, so 75% of the game, this unit's not going to be able to use a token. So I think that's what made people kind of knee-jerk reaction on that one.
Yeah, and that's pretty fair, to be completely honest. Like, I mean, and Lust have their own sort of weird movement thing now, so that's good. It's not just Noble Advance, which I think Goblins have as well, if I remember correctly. Goblins get it's Ratman clans. They get Skitter or Scatter or whatever.
Yeah, Scurry, Skitter or something.
Yeah. Scurry, I think.
Yeah,
it is,
it's fun that you bring up Lust Brothers, because that was the last army that I had printed and was in the middle of painting when 3.5 the beta got released. And then I looked at the beta and looked at the army I printed and was like, well, let's start this over. So I still haven't finished those. Like this weekend, I actually later on today for me, I've got all the new stuff printed for those and hopefully have them on the board tonight. So we'll see.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun when you go, actually, my favorite thing is you print a unit, you play it, and you're like, I hate this unit. Like, this unit is the worst unit I've ever fucking used. And then it's like, okay, I gotta print either a second one of this unit that's great or try a different unit. But it's just like, I don't know what to do with these guys. Use them for a different game, give them away. I don't know.
That's the joke for my Havoc Dwarves. I'm not a massive Havoc Dwarf. I like Havoc Dwarves, but I'm not a massive Havoc Dwarf fan. Havoc Dork. But I have a huge Havoc Dwarf army because I could not make them work. So I just kept making more units going, this will work. And next thing you know, I've got like 15,000 points of them.
Yeah, you just
all trying to make something work. I just can't, their army rules in my brain just don't go together.
Oh yeah, man. I think that's I think I've got a few armies like that I'm like, I really want to like these guys, but I hate every single thing about them when I play them.
Yeah, it's like there's a list here. I just have to find it, but my brain just does not compute.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think that may be a good segue into talking about armies, because I'll bring up the army that I'm most interested in chatting to you about, which is Elven Jesters. Because but I don't really mind if we sort of do a 3.4, 3.5 discussion about them, because I haven't been able to make them work. I can get them to work if I take them as a unit with, other dudes, in a high elf army, but I've just never been able to actually get a decent army going where I'm like, yeah, I'm in a good position. I always feel like I'm like seconds away from losing this game whenever I play as them. So I'd love to hear your opinion on some Elven Jesters.
Pull up both of them here. Like the Elven Jesters that I in 3.4, I'm playing them, have played them. I'm not sure if it's over really, because we were going to be playing a TTS tournament until the end of 3.5, and we've kind of gotten to a point where I think it's kind of a natural end point for the tournament. But pull up both of these right next to each other. So yeah, with the Elven Jesters, they are an absolute glass cannon army.
Yeah,
and that's just something to get your head around. When like most armies, you go, okay, well these are going to do this, and we're going to maneuver here, and we're going to come under fire. We got some defensive stuff. With the Jesters, it's like just don't get shot, just kill everything, so it doesn't attack you back.
The best strategy, don't
the
get
best
hurt,
strategy.
kill the enemy.
The best armor is no armor. Um, uh, yeah, with these, like, what did I have in here? I had the pranksters, and just with the pranksters, they have the right combination of stuff to be really strong on the attack. They're defense 5 with regeneration. They have dodge, they have stealth, but again, it's one of those just don't get shot because that's not going to help you out that much, especially when there's only 5 in the unit. But
Yeah.
quality 3, and in 3.5, they had 2 attacks, AP1 with Lance. So that means when you charge, you're going to be hitting on a 2, AP1 and Lance, which means you're going to be hitting at AP2. Things tend to melt there unless it's a really dedicated, thick,
Yeah.
something tough. And in that case, just don't attack it.
Yeah,
Find something else to attack.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of the big things is picking the correct target is something that I find a lot of people tend to struggle with as well.
And now in 3.5, those pranksters, they're almost identical to what they were. They have quality 3 defense 5. They have energy glaives with 2 attacks, AP1 with thrust, so that they still have the same weapons available to them. They actually went down in points. Oh, that's another thing too. Is like yesterday, Tano did a great point reduction.
Ah,
So check your army lists. You might be able to take more stuff.
yeah, excellent.
Yep, they still have ambush, evasive, which takes over
The stealth,
dodge
yeah,
and stealth.
yeah,
Furious rapid blink, which is their army rule, where they can teleport another 3 inches,
yeah,
so that they're no longer fast, but they do have the rapid blink.
yeah.
So
It's functionally roughly the same, basically. Yeah,
roughly the same.
yeah,
And they still have regeneration. And then they also have the option for ambush redeployment, where you could pick them up once per game. So you could like drop them in. You could drop them in, charge something, and then at the end of that activation, just boop, we're gone, and then you could do it again the next turn.
yeah. That is
So
a very strong ability, actually.
yeah, so that gets you 2 turns of the surprise ambush there. So they're still the stronger units as far as uh, what damage you could put out with the army. They're still one of the strongest units there.
Yeah,
Like I haven't gone deep into 3.5 Jesters yet, just because I was playing the 3.4 tournament with them, and I didn't want to get too. I didn't want to have like crossing the wires there.
yeah. You don't want to be like, wait, I get evasion here. It's like, no, you don't.
Exactly.
Oh shit! A rapid blink though, right? No, no.
Right. So yeah, other than that, like a lot of their units, like fools, I feel like they're just kind of there as a points filler unit. Uh, jet bikes, I still think are way too expensive. Just because, well, I mean, everything's made on the point calculator, and I think the point calculator just does jet bikes dirty in all the armies.
Yeah,
I want cheaper
I
jet
agree with
bikes.
that actually. Yeah, I think generally I've found personally that jet bikes rarely are worth the points. Like at the moment, yeah, maybe if they're like, I don't know, maybe like 50 points cheaper, they might be worth taking. But yeah, currently at the moment, I agree. I don't think they really put enough DACA out basically to really make up for their points value.
It's like that across a couple armies. There's a few units that I feel like well, let's go to orcs. Like orc bikes. I feel like if they had a dedicated like melee version of the bikes, I would run those every
Oh
time
yeah,
over
I
the
agree.
shooting bikes. But that's one of the trade-offs. Like that's why not every army has access to every type of unit, because if they did, we would just see like things would start to become. We would get back into the territory of all the armies feel samey, because they would all have access to the same stuff. So in the official armies, yeah, I can see why some things are there, some things are not, because every army has trade-offs. That's
Yeah,
just the way. That's where the game happens.
yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, and I mean, I guess for me, the thing I sort of look at with Elven Jesters is that sort of look at the army on a whole, and I agree pranksters are amazing unit. Also think Jesters are pretty solid. Like they're the two units I tend to take if I'm taking them as other armies. But yeah, jet bikes, and then for me, I jokers are, well, they're a joke basically. Like, I feel like they're such a joke unit. It's like, what exactly do they do? I mean, they're slightly better in 3.5 stats wise, as far as I can tell, because they got that point blank surge and stuff like that. But I'm like, why would I ever take these guys when I can take a Jesters for very little more points, and they're just much better at doing their job.
Right.
And
And then something I also had in the army with the Jesters is I took 3 full champions. Well, full disclosure, I put this out on my Discord. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing with Jesters. I put that out, and then I got a list from one of, I think it was West, in my Discord. He's like, I've been using these. You should use this list. And it's been doing pretty good
yeah,
in the tournament. And then with the full champions, they all have what I give them. They all have caster 2. So having 3 caster 2s running around on the board sometimes it's pretty good, and sometimes you just don't roll. Sometimes you just roll ones.
yeah,
That's
God,
just the way it goes.
That's Magic in a nutshell. Particularly because that's one thing I will say about 3.5 is the Magic system overhaul was pretty freaking good. In 3.4, I sort of felt like some armies would have 1 or 2 spells that were worth taking caster for, and then the rest of it's like, no, just take a hero that buffs your unit and use that as your beat stick rather than trying to cast magic. But yeah, no, I reckon that would be a pretty decent thing. Yeah, but as you said, you can't always 100% rely on magic. You may roll a 1, and then you're like, ugh. Well, there goes that strategy. Like, that's not a great time for that to fall apart on me, basically. But yeah. Okay. So, did you have an army you want to have a chat about? I mean, we can run to orcs if that's what you want to do, or.
Well, I mean, orcs are orcs. They've been pretty much unchanged.
Yeah.
Well, the orcs do just what they do.
Yeah.
Let's look. The one I've been trying to get my head around at the moment is Human Inquisition, just because they have some really cool stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, I just gotta say, Human Inquisition. So the way I rated my armies on my tier list was basically most armies were S to B, with B being just they're decent at what they do, but they're not standout. And then C I had for detachments only. So you only take these guys as detachments, and D was just, well, we can talk about D when we get there because there was only one army in there. But Human Inquisition was was the most solid C I'd ever seen in my life, and now it's like, are these guys almost S now? Like, are they getting there? Like, I feel like with some of their stuff, it is crazy. Like, so yeah. So let's have a chat about them then.
Okay, so the Human Inquisition, their overall army rule is Inquisitorial Agent. Once per game, the unit can be activated a second time, and it like you get rid of you get rid of fatigue. So yeah, so if you want, you can just surge with some of your melee units twice in one turn, which can be pretty devastating at the right points. I played them a couple days ago against the Plague Demons, and I think that was the case. I lost the game pretty bad with the Human Inquisition. But looking back, there's a few units that I think that I took that were a little underwhelming, and mostly it came down to my dice were not being kind that day, and his dice were just saying he was going to win regardless.
Yep.
Because that's the key. If you want to win OPR all the time, just roll 6s.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to worry about strategy if all you do is roll 6s.
Yeah, just roll 6s.
Yeah.
But let's see, like they still have their different 3-man units, which in 3.4 just felt weird because they weren't very specialized in what they did. They all kind of did feel the samey, but now we have different things. Like I ran 2 units of possessed henchmen, because they have all of their weapons have indirect and they all have quick readjustment, which means that they ignore the minuses to hit from indirect. And
Yeah.
I use them as a I was trying to use them as an anti-large stuff with the demon beams for AP2 Deadly 3 indirect, so we could fire it from behind cover at stuff, that big stuff,
Yeah.
and AP2 all that. Uh, but I quickly found out, which I seem to forget in the moment, that if I'm within range to fire a 12-inch shot at you, that means I'm in range to get charged if
Yep.
I don't absolutely kill it. So those units weren't long for this world once he figured out what they could do. But that's something to have in a pocket, something to have in your pocket to throw out there, or something you can use like the rest of your troops surrounding them. Um,
Yeah.
and then you have
Yeah, I had the
yeah,
same
go ahead.
thing with the possessed henchmen. Because I had a game against Alien Hives and I had a game against Battle Brothers. I'm pretty sure, well, Wolf Brothers more specifically, and I had Demon Burst on them, and I put them behind a building which I thought they were safe at, and they blew up grunts, and then some soul snatchers came out of the woodwork and just ripped them to shreds, and I was like, oh, that was that was nasty.
Yeah, and then you got the cyborg henchmen, with their okay. This is a unit. I didn't run this unit, but it's such a meme. I love it. I some units I like taking for the lulls. You take a unit of cyborg henchmen, you give them 3 plasma cannons, and then you put an inquisitor in there to give them +1 to hit, because there's a whole lot of new stuff you can give them. Give them +1 to hit.
Yeah,
You have 3 shots at AP4 blast 3 hitting on a 3. That will wreck anything. Absolutely
yeah.
anything. The plasma cannons. I want to run more plasma cannons, but it doesn't. Just for the fun of it, and then it's not viable for all situations. But this one is a unit deleter, and then with the inquisitorial agents, you can look at your enemy like, guess what? I'm doing it again.
Yeah, exactly. Or one of the other things that I found out was that you can move them up, have them absolutely unleash hell, and then pull them back as their action so that they're no longer in range or anything. And it's like, oh, jeez. So it's like, yeah, I just shot the hell out of you guys, and then they ran away. Like,
Right, but I think that the 2 units that make the army viable that he added in are the breacher guard and the riot judges.
absolutely,
So
yeah,
now So now instead of having, maximum size of 6, you have some units that can just, be bricks of troops because that's what the army needed. That was in my mind, that was the big thing that was not letting them actually run as an army.
yeah. I
But now,
concur with that as well. Yeah,
but yeah, but through the feedback that he's gotten for stuff, he has added in these 2 units, and so basically you have what is human defense force units inside the human inquisition.
yeah,
So that it makes things nice. I mean, everything in the army is everything in the army is a lot more expensive than it would be everywhere else because of that inquisitorial agents rule.
yeah,
But having double activations, like turn 1, you can what's the rule? You can do half of the stuff in your army. Like, say if you have 10 units in the army, you have 15 activations turn 1 to really wreck someone's day, and then if stuff's still alive, 15 activations on turn 2, and then you go from there.
yeah. Exactly. And I think one of the big things is that riot judges are surprisingly like they're a tough little bastard of a unit, particularly if you take a double sized unit. You got 10 of them, and they're decked out with a leader. Oh, geez, they can actually put some damage on the board as well.
Yeah, I am a big fan of shotguns.
Yeah, shotguns are great. Yeah,
I'm a bit anything where you can get a single toughness model and you can get an output for like 2 or 3 damage. I'm a big fan of, because um, just like force multiplication rules, I think are the secret tech that will get your army get you a better win rate
yeah.
with stuff.
Yeah, my dwarf army is just all shotguns. Like, they don't do anything else. It's just all shotguns. That's all they do. Except for the power suits, they actually punch things. But outside of that, it's iron shotguns all the way down.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Is there which army are you looking at? We could talk about.
Well, so there's definitely two that I want to cover. But I think the big one I want to cover is machine cults, which
Mhm.
was my only D tier army at the time. Now, they did get an improvement as 3rd edition went along, which was great, but I think that they're actually in a much stronger position than they've been before in 3.5. I actually enjoyed playing them, which was a big benefit, but yeah, so obviously Machine Fog, I think, is actually like basically stealth, but their whole army has it now. And just like some of their special gun abilities, I think are much better. Like I think Wreck, even though it's sort of just Bane, and I feel like they got a lot more options that they can take now as well. One of the big problems I used to have with them is I just felt like they had their ignore cover guns, and then they had their if you roll a one, you take an additional wound guns, but they had like almost no way to affect AP on any level outside of I think they're the cyborgs at the time. So I always felt like I was like, I really hope you roll a one, and I really don't think that's a winning strategy at the end of the day. It can be very effective if it happens, but I always felt like, yeah, it's just like, I'm hoping you roll a one because I have no AP.
Right. Right. Yeah. They do feel like they have they definitely leveled up in 3.5, and I especially like um taking a unit of rangers and then taking a high priest with the canticle chanter, which gives them the machine fog boost.
Oh
So
yeah.
now they're at -2 to hit, and if you stay back there with your gun line and just say shoot me, I dare you, you're going to miss. Go ahead and waste your activation of your battle brothers shooting your heavy rifles at my squad. You're going to hit me twice, and I'm not going to really care that much.
Yeah, I mean, just that. Yeah, the machine fog boost aura, it gets crazy town real fast. Because it's just like, particularly if they're in cover on top of it as well, you are just basically not hurting them. Like, even when you get through, they've got that higher armor save now, and it's just, oh yeah. And as I said,
Yeah, they are.
I think we've also got the rending with shooting aura as well, which I think is a really strong new ability as well. And just being
Mhm.
able to have that on top of their sort of their game plan, just it makes them a lot more dangerous now than they used to be for sure.
That's another thing that I really like about 3.5 is that the hero units, they have lots of different abilities that you can take, and they're all meaningful in some way. Like you have to make trade-offs with your characters. Like machine fog would be good. The machine fog boost would be great, but then you can't take the rending when shooting,
Yeah,
or you can't do the unpredictable fighter if you want to put them inside of a melee unit, which some of the melee units have become really nice too.
yeah, I agree. I think that was one of the big problems I think I used to have. Most of their melee units were like I think is it the stalkers? Yeah, the
Mhm.
stalkers used to be their only decent melee unit. Um,
Right.
and now it's like, yeah, well, the shock priests have now got some stuff that is pretty interesting, which is always good. And obviously, yeah, like you got a few more options here that they just didn't really have in the past. And even then, like stalkers weren't a fantastic melee unit either in 3.4 and below. It was like, yeah, like they're decent, but don't really rely on them.
Yeah, the machine cult used to be an army that was just you would have to like find the right opponents, and you would have to like use the correct units to even really have a shot. But now
Yeah,
I think everything is for them. They've leveled up as an army to where they are a real contender now.
yeah, I absolutely agree. I have to admit, it gave me a lot of pleasure to move them up from D to C last tier list, and now I'm definitely like, yeah, they're clearly a B class army now at minimum, because they're definitely able to hang out with all the other B class armies. That's great, and obviously, as I said, like the difference between an S class and a B class army is not a staggering jump in 1 page rules.
Right.
It just isn't. Right, like I just feel that when I think of an S class, it's just that they can do a lot of things really well. Like alien hives, they're good at shooting and murdering you in close combat and closing the gap. So that's why they're up the top of the list. While something like infected colonies really sort of they wear one hat, it looks good on them, but they're not really fantastic at wearing a whole bunch of different hats. Right.
Right. Yeah, that's something I said too in my tier list is everything is close together. Like the difference we're talking when we talk like A to B tier is so minor.
Yeah.
It just can be on the feel of the army and just the difference between those two is like a single dice roll. But there were some in 3.4 that were just didn't work. But I think that has been changed now. Then let's take a look at a different one that I think had a big glow up too, and that's the DAO. Oh, good lord, the DAO Union army.
Yes, I concur with that. I used to think that they were. I always felt like they were like Eternal Dynasty's little brother that wasn't really as good. And then this edition came out. I was like, holy crap! No, these guys stand on their own, and also they also stand completely separate from Eternal Dynasty, which I think is fantastic as well.
Something I have like the next list I'm going to print with them. I'm just going to call it Shotguns a Go Go. And the way that list works is they now have their grunts are split into two different sections. You have the security grunts and you have the tactical grunts. Well, security grunts are made for close assault stuff, and they all start with shotguns. We're going to take a 10-man unit of those. We're going to give them shielded, so now they have a 3-up save.
Nice, yep.
Yeah, they go from a 4 to a 3-up, so now they're a tough nut to crack to begin with. Then we're going to take a grunt leader. We're going to give it a relentless aura with a shotgun, put it inside the squad. So now, 10 of them, they're going to have 24 shots. I forgot what 23 shots at AP1 at 12 inches with relentless, meaning that if they roll a 6, if they're over 9 inches away, if they roll a 6, it's an extra hit. Take all that, you put it inside of a hover transport. You give the hover transport stealth. These things are going to be moving forward, dropping these security grunts off, and they are going to murder whatever they shoot at.
Yeah.
Because they go from they have quality 5, but they have good shots, so they hit on a 4 to start with. And then we're going to do some precision shooters or precision spotters to give them +1 to hit here, there, and everywhere. It's going to be rough for people because just the weight of fire that these can put out is great.
Yeah, that stuff is crazy, and like what I really like is that they incentivize you to be a ranged army too, which is great. So like even with the shotguns, they with targeting visor, they incentivize you to not get 2 inches away from the enemy. They incentivize you to stay at that sort of slightly over
that
9-inch range.
Spot.
Yeah. So I think that's great.
It's just the way I want to play them because I am a big, run forward and blow the crap out of somebody at close range. But, I mean, they have complete viability with the tactical grunts to sit back at 30 or 18, depending on the weapon. You could do the same thing with them. Put a character with them, make them relentless. It's going to be more efficient, I want to say, to give them the relentless, but just my brain says shotguns, do shotguns. But it's going to be more efficient to do it with them because they're going to be over 9 inches more than the shotguns are. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is don't be like me, kids. I have brain damage. I need to put shotguns in transports.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an aggressive player myself. My philosophy is that an enemy cannot attack you if they are dead.
Exactly.
So
well, like everything and all of their troops having targeting visors that comes with them, plus good shot, meaning all of their shooting attacks are going to be on the 3, which puts you on Battle Brother level
Yeah.
while not playing Battle Brother prices. You're going to be good now.
Yeah, no, they've got options. They have as long as you're not trying to go like actual close combat fighting, they have so many options on their guys. It's like if there's a gun that exists, they have it basically. So there's a lot of versatility there as well. As I said, as you said, it's viable to go shotguns and just shotgun people at 12 inches, or that sort of sweet spot. But it's also perfectly viable to sit back and just use their versions of plasma weapons and just absolutely barbecue the people before they get anywhere near you guys, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that and to have stealth suits pop up with fusion carbines that are 18 inches,
yeah.
like ambushing 2 feet away from somebody and then moving into fusion carbine range and being like, "Oh, you thought I was out of range? I'm not."
By the way, I'm hitting on
Yeah.
threes.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I'm hitting on threes, and these are AP4, so I hope you have something
Yeah.
because it's gonna hurt.
It's always nice to pick off those, human defense force vehicles that like to hang back and just shoot you from range. And then it's like, yeah, no, actually, have you heard of stealth suits before?
Let me introduce you. Let me introduce you to my friends here.
They're very hot and they like to shoot.
Hmm. Yeah, so they do have a lot of play compared to what they were. They feel like they have more teeth with shooting, which is what the DAO Union, what you thought of, especially 40K players coming over, taking their Tau and converting them over to DAO. Like before, it felt like they did not have the shooting potential that they did have in 40K. Now in OPR, they definitely have that shooting potential.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, they are. They definitely. I reckon they're probably like an A tier army now for sure. Like they are very dangerous.
Yeah,
Of course,
they're up there.
yeah, they're strong at one thing, but they're very, 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 very strong at it. Basically, um, but yeah,
Yeah, they do have their drawbacks. Don't get them in close combat, but again, that's where the game happens. That's the give and the take. That's how it works.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the last one I want to bring up, because you sort of you gave them a bit of a low score in your tier list, and I gave them a bit of a high score in my tier list, and that's Prime Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I think you marked them around about C, if I remember correctly, and
Probably.
yeah, and I said they're like sort of depending on the brother at the time, they're somewhere in the A tier section, basically.
Fitting it on the brother. Hmm.
Wolf and Prime Brothers in particular, I think, were really strong. Sorry, Wolf and Blood. My apologies. But yeah, they've got a bit of an update here. Like, I mean, for one thing, no more 2+ armor saves. They instead have Fortify or Reinforce. I think it is for their one. Yeah, Reinforce. It's called, which is their own sort of special army rule. And I was like, at first, I was like, oh. And then I was like, actually, you know what? I don't mind that, actually, because I think 2+ armor save should be reserved for tanks. Like, actual tanks. Yeah, I was just curious about how you felt about their drop in armor, but they're up in resisting AP.
Well, the drop in armor was nice because it lets you put more of them on. Because it dropped their points value, it lets you
Yeah.
put more of them on the board. But okay, everything I do in my tier list is just what I've seen in the garage here and what I've seen playing them. Prime Brothers, especially, they need force multiplier rules. They need like the Furious and the Relentless and the stuff to be able to put out more shot, to be able to hit with more shots than they actually put out because things are expensive.
Yes.
Being able to take auto rifles to make them just regular AP2, getting more shots per, and then the assault squads being able to jump in with 2 attacks apiece. Which is nice, which is nice. They can have the regeneration auras and the versatile reach and stuff like that to get actually into close combat and survive a little bit better. But I really miss Furious. on these guys. I really miss Furious, which is, let me make sure that I'm not talking up my butt here.
No,
I'm
they.
looking through all the characters right now. I don't think it's available.
Yeah, I mean, maybe blood. Do blood leaders get a furious?
Let's see.
I mean, raiders do, but raiders sort of have that little bit of a. Well, they've got some other problems to make up for the fact they have furious, basically. Blood.
Yeah.
Unstoppable. Blood can cast a spell that gives two friendly units furious. So,
Okay.
so that.
Okay, so there's something there. So that gives them a little bit of a leg up if they want to go into close combat. And that's something too, I think, is that the Prime brothers live and die in close combat.
Yeah,
Because,
I agree.
having shooting squads to plink at the enemy is good. I mean, sometimes you can overwhelm them in shots and take them out, but a stunned enemy, or a routed enemy, is better than a stunned enemy,
Yeah,
and you can pull that off in melee. You just can't pull that off in shooting.
yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
one bad round in melee, and you may wipe the squad out. While one bad round in shooting, they're shaken, and maybe they don't get to act, and that's about it. Right? Like, I mean, and then even then, that can still end up being a dangerous unit later in the game if it rallies, and then you've got no one in position to sort of deal with that rallied unit anymore, and then they start
and it,
grabbing shit.
yeah, and it always sucks when you leave like one zombie alive. It's like, God, now I got to dedicate an activation to kill that one zombie,
Yeah.
or dedicate a gun to it, which feels like it'd be a whole lot better if you could. Now I'm thinking of rules that would be cool. Don't do that. My brain does dumb things. But yeah, I think Prime Brothers, again, like I said, just going off of what we see in the garage when we play with them, Prime Brothers and even Battle Brothers to some extent, they're kind of like the B tier for us.
Yeah, no, and that's completely fair. Yeah, no, see. For me, what I tend to do is I tend to really lean on. What I'll do is I'll make like maybe three really dangerous units, and then basically I'll just put infiltration raider squads in, or in the case of normal battle brothers, pathfinder squads. And I've always found that they do pretty well, particularly if people decide to shoot up the cheaper units, because then I'll let your stronger units go after higher value targets. And the great thing is they ignore those crappy units, they start capturing objective markers as well. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
but that being said, I also feel that not many people are gonna wanna like stack their army full of scouts. Basically, like let's be honest here. Particularly if you're a Warhammer guy, scouts almost get no action in Warhammer on any level. So I think I get that, but yeah, that's how I've sort of I pull their actions a bit out further. I can get like 6 or 7 actions with them instead of like 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that, I mean, you could even, if you have the hero slots left over, which you probably won't, but if you do, just having single elite pathfinders running around being all stealthy on their own could be a pain in the butt for the enemy to deal with, because they have, it doesn't matter if you're a squad of 10, if you're a squad of 1, you do contest and take objectives there.
Yeah, exactly, and it's always a decent thing to have in the back pocket. That's for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
generally I find my heroes are pretty active. They're always buffing
Well,
someone or
mhm.
or
Yeah, it's like, why take a hero if it's not going to be a false force multiplier for a squad? And something else that I have discovered over my couple years of playing OPR and talking with people on the internet and stuff, people play OPR very differently, in different areas of the world. Like, what goes on in my garage
yeah.
can be completely like the opposite of what happens just down the street in somebody else's playing in their game. Like, I tend to use like assault units. I tend to use a lot of multi-shot, no AP guns, just trying to overwhelm armor saves. And it's just, that's just the way we do it. Some places, some other places, they could be focused on, elite play where there's few units that have lots of like high AP, high damaging guns, and it's just things are different in different places.
Yeah,
So it all depends on what's going on in your play group.
yeah, and even at different points values, it can be quite different. I remember some guy had gone on the subreddit, and he was like, "Oh, I've got these armies, army lists at 1,000 points, and I'm just wondering what people think about them." And so anyway, he posted up one, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, I think you're stacking too many elite troops in these armies." And he's like, "Oh." Okay, he's like, the unit limit's only 5 though, and I'm like, oh shit, it is too. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, sorry. I'm like, so I was like, yeah, this is more about advice about scaling up to 2,000 points, because I'm like, that's what I play. Like, I don't play less than 2,000 points, basically. Or whatever the high recommendation is, obviously. If it's regiments, I think it's still 1,500 points, if I remember correctly, like for fantasy stuff. But it's like, for me personally, it's like, I only play at 2,000 points, so I totally forgot that the army limit is only 5 units. And so I was like, oh yeah, well, I guess your army's pretty decent then. Like, I mean, you're playing Battle Brothers and you've got 5 units. You're probably pretty decent.
Hmm. Yeah, it's all rock paper scissors between the different play groups. Like if someone's bringing like 4 units of Wolf Brothers, I will bring 10 units of crap and say chew through this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, and Wolf Brothers in 3.4. Oh, jeez, what an army to try and figure out how to beat. Just like, if I
Right.
charge them, they kick the shit out of me, and if I stand
Hmm.
back, they shoot me to death. You can't fucking win
Yeah,
against those guys.
that's why the counter rule here has the moniker of being bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. I am glad that now Wolf Brothers, while they do still get counterattack, it's like leader only. So at least you don't have to deal with their whole entire army having counterattack on everything. I remember one time I played against my son. He was like, "Can we play like the same army?" And I'm like, "Oh, I can't. Not a big fan of doing that." And I'm like, "How about we do brothers?" And at the time, he was like, "Charge everything. Like that's all he wanted to do. No shooting, just charging." So I of course gave him the Blood Brothers, and I went the Wolf Brothers, thinking, "Oh, it can't be too bad, right?" Oh god, it was so bad for him. I felt so bad. It's just like,
Hmm.
you charged me, and I killed half your guys, so you get like half your attacks.
Right. Yeah, and that's even with AP nothing weapons, depending on who they're fighting against, that counterattack rule can be a big thing. Um, that's why another one of my philosophies with OPR is I'm just going to make you roll dice for defense. I don't care if you're defense 2 with regeneration, you're going to roll once.
Yes, yeah.
It's just a matter of how many attacks do I got to put in before that happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the big things you can do in one page rules is just force them to roll a ton of dice, and eventually you'll punch through. Particularly now that there's not as many things with 2+ saves anymore as well. You've only got to worry about tanks, and at that point, generally it takes specialized units to deal with tanks. But yeah, um,
Oh, what else we got here? So yeah, that I mean, we could go over every army, but we'd be here all day, and
yeah.
I'm sure that's content we're going to make later.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I already did my 2.5 hour video on every army, and I only really went over their basic rules and spells, so it was like, ugh. And by the end of it, I'm like, you can tell as the recording goes along, my voice gets more and more hoarse. By the end of it, I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
guys, I'm done. I don't care anymore. I'll catch you next video. Like, it's been 2.5 hours. I am finished here.
Hmm.
And I've still got some people who like will like get in the comment section and be like, I don't think you understood this, and I'm like, dude, I couldn't go into like hyper detail on everything. Someone pointed out they're like, robot legions. They brought up robot legions, and they're like, why didn't you cover this rule? I think it was. It wasn't. It was like some type of weapon rule, disassemble or something like that. And I'm like,
Okay.
what the hell? So I'm like, I didn't even see that. So I went in the Robot Legion section and no special rule called disassemble. And I'm like, can you point this out to me? Because I can't find the rule. Never heard from him again.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean the beta's been moving pretty fast. So
Yeah.
disassemble might have been there. It might have been there for 6 hours
Yeah. Yeah,
because things
exactly.
move so fast.
I
And yeah,
yeah.
it's just the trying to cover stuff army like trying to cover all the armies in the beta has been challenging, we'll say, because things change so fast. That's why I thought about doing that in the beginning of the beta, but then I'm like, let's just play test stuff as it happens. We'll use these as like snapshots in time to see where the beta is. We can look back on it and laugh when we get done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My next big video will be when 3.5 actually fully comes out. Like, that's the next one, so that I can sort of cover everything. Hopefully, it'll be like I'll be able to be like, well, most of what I said before is still accurate, but here's the little updates for certain armies. That's what I'm hoping for, anyway.
Yeah, and
But
there's just some armies that you know, like I said, everyone plays OPR differently, and there are some armies that in my head just don't come together. Like Jackals. I want to love
oh,
Jackals,
yeah, I'm the
but
same.
I can't make a list. Like my brain doesn't fire on the right synapses to make it work.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think the big thing with Jackals is that when they work, they are surprisingly bullshit. Like, they just absolutely roll people, but most of the time they don't. That's what I've found
mhm.
in my games. I think I've played them about 12 times, and I'd probably say like maybe 3 of the 12 games I've just been like, why don't I play these guys more often? They're so freaking good. And then I'll play them like 2 times in a row, and I'll be like, now I remember why I don't play Jackals as much as I want to.
Yeah, they're an army that like the circumstances have to be right, the terrain has to be right, the army you're playing against has to be right, and they can be a monster. But it's one of the things that I like doing is finding at least a list that will reliably do good. And with
Yeah.
Jackals, my brain just doesn't let me do that. It's there somewhere. I just can't find it yet.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find a reliable list either. I just sort of came to terms with the fact that I have to live with Jackals not being reliable. Hopefully, maybe someday. I don't know what I'd do to change them though. Like, I honestly don't know how I'd make them more reliable. Honestly, uh,
Yeah, like
they're
if I
fun.
had the
Yeah.
reins to change rules, I have some ideas, but I don't have that power. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, all we can really do is just make suggestions and hope they get picked up. Really, at the end of the day.
and at the end of the day, if something happens you don't like, there's always the army, the custom army builder.
Yeah, exactly.
Which sometimes I feel like it's a cop out sometimes when people ask about certain things, but sometimes people want armies that just don't exist.
Yeah, I think the
You have
problem.
the option.
I think the problem is the custom army builder is the painting equivalent of learn how to thin your paints. Right?
Yeah.
It's fair advice some of the time, but most of the time it's just that's shit advice. Like,
Hmm.
that gets me nowhere basically.
And
uh,
yeah, and with the custom army builder, there's depending on the mentality of the player. Some people they want to use it to make a custom army, which is cool and unique and themey and stuff. But sometimes they get in there and they realize they could just stack rules on stuff. I've seen some custom armies that I look at and just go, "Buh, what did
yeah,
you do?"
yeah. I've had a few look at some custom armies. I really like the ones that are like OPR approved. They generally are really good, and also they kind of got those. A lot of times they got built-in miniatures with them, because they're made by a miniature company, and those are
Mhm.
great. But there's been a couple I've looked at and I'm like, whoo, geez. Even some more like leveled one, like the Dragon Brothers, I think were one of the top ones for a long time. And don't get me wrong, great army, but dear God, flamethrowers with radiation.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're gonna be eating shit on these ones, basically.
yeah, like I've done quite a few custom armies, and one of the ones I did for the Trench Crusade stuff,
Oh yeah, cool.
I wanted to have zombies that would explode with disease whenever you fought them. So killing them in melee would be, kind of a problem.
Yeah.
So I took the zombie rules that have like the infiltrate where you can ambush 1 inch away, and then I gave them all like corrosive too. And I was like, hey, this looks great on paper. And then I played it and went, oh, these are busted as hell. Oh no.
Yeah, I really don't envy the OPR team because they got to like take everything on board, and then they got to go, what can we actually put in, and then they got to go, is this broken on top of it, because they've got to make sure things stay balanced. So they got to make a lot of people happy, and then they've got to also make sure that it doesn't break the game in half either. Yeah, because it's great if all the Battle Brother players absolutely love everything because they're bullshit now. Doesn't help the rest of the community though. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought a fun way to sort of bring things to a close is, what is the craziest hot take that you've heard from people in the community, I suppose, about either something that you did or some type of rule or an army or something like that.
The craziest hot take that I've done. Oh. um well, first I'll say that in the beginning when I started the YouTube channel, I would look for feedback from everything. But as time has gone on, I've started to ignore a lot of stuff. Um let's see. In the beginning, I remember there was somebody. It was on Facebook, where I posted a video on the OPR server on Facebook, and in the comments, somebody was just like, "I just don't like Warboss Fitz. I don't know why. He just annoys me." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't think he realizes it was me that posted this. So I'm like, "Cheers, great, have fun." So just random that. And then something that happened last week was we had a 5,000 point game of fantasy,
Mm.
and I didn't put much terrain on the board because both of the 80% of both armies had flying or strider. I'm like, well, what does it matter? And then it was people coming in and commenting like, well, if your terrain was just better. I'm like, so the next game I loaded the table like, I do have terrain, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. Particularly terrain, because it's like, if you're filming on top of it, it's like, well, I don't want to have to try and like get around
Yeah.
every piece of terrain, because some of these
Yeah.
bastards can be big.
Yeah, doing the live stream, I like put the camera down when I thought it was a good angle, and I'm like zoomed in on the top of a palm tree. I'm like, shit. Okay, I gotta move that.
My camera has like, because I use a proper camera for the actual gathering of war game, like battle report footage, and it turns off
Mhm.
every half an hour, so I've got to be like right on it. And the other day I missed out on like 5 minutes of the Frostgrave game we're playing because the camera had just turned off, and I was like, oh.
Mhm.
So that was super annoying. But yeah, so the terrain getting in the way, that's definitely one of the fun parts.
Mhm. And as far as like the game itself, not really. Like I said, I try to avoid most stuff. Um, yeah, no real hot takes on things. Except here in the 3.5, I'll have people commenting on stuff I made in the first week. Like, I don't see that rule anywhere. I'm like, you're right, because it doesn't exist anymore.
Check the time, guys. What's the date? That
Right.
that might be it. Yeah, I think for me the two hot takes that I really remember was, I released the video on the beta. So when it first came out, I think it was on like the night it came out, and I made it very clear that rules will probably change a lot in the next few days. So this is just my knee jerk reaction. Don't take it too seriously. And so anyway, in the comments, someone was like, "Ooh, why'd you even make this video? The rules are gonna change tomorrow or whatever, and this video will be out of date." And I'm like, funnily enough, I did address that. They got, because it was in Reddit comments, because I chucked it up on the Reddit as well. They got downvoted into
Mhm.
oblivion, but it was just like, dude, I understand where you're coming from, but I just wanted to make a video on it.
Yeah, dude, Reddit. Oh my God, Reddit for one-page rules. It's most of the community on there is positive.
Yeah.
but there are a few, and it's funny enough. I know what their opinion is going to be when I see their name, when I see they started something
Gets a bit that way, yeah.
that are just they come out with hot takes on stuff, and then people will be like, no, well, it's this way, and then they go, oh well, all the old one-page rules lovers are just always going to be so positive toxicity. I'm like, it could it just be because we like the game?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we're not using the same verbiage that you want it to use. Like, just
Yeah.
sometimes it's out of hand.
The one I always love on Reddit is seeing the guy who goes, I've been playing Warhammer and there's no unit for, Doc Punchington's Punch McPuncher. In the game, there's no equivalent. And it's like, yeah, because they're different games, mate. It's like OPR doesn't have to have the exact same unit. Just, like take a unit that's close to it, basically.
Right. Or I haven't played much in the beta, but these are my 17 paragraphs about how X army sucks now. Like, dude, come on.
I've only played 6 games, but I hate this army. It's like, how many times did you play with that in the 6 games? Once. It's like, okay, well, maybe play with a few more times.
Yeah, change your units up. Just like I said, sometimes the brain does not compute the first time you look at something.
Yeah, and also you got to take into account how luck affected the outcome. One
Mhm.
time in 3. I think it was in like 3.2, I rolled up against my son's units of, I think it was aggressors. So he was playing Prime Brother aggressors. I had a unit of a double unit of retributors with a leader, and so it was like 27 rending shots. I managed to rend through on like 5 of them or something. I did roll pretty bad, but I'm like, that's all right. 5 wounds, and if he passes like one of them, fine. Not a big deal. So he rolls his dice, doesn't take any damage from the regular shots, not crazy. He rolls his rending attacks, and he rolled 5 6s, 5 of them. I'm like, and he's just like, I guess so. Is it my turn now? I'm like, do you understand what you just did?
Yep.
I'm like, one of them should have at least died, basically.
hmm So yeah, sometimes it's a dice game, and sometimes
Yeah.
things just go crazy. So yeah, like one of the games we had this week, I think I had 12 shots with something that hits on a 3-up, and I hit once out of
Yeah.
those 12. I just you look at the dice and you go, shit. Okay.
How could you do this to me, Dice? I'll never financially recover from this.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's just it is what it is, man. OPR is a game, and sometimes things like that happen. You just gotta laugh about it and go, well,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
okay.
swear a couple times and then have a laugh, because really, at the end of the day, what can you do? I mean, they're dice. They're gonna just roll the way they roll. But yeah, and then my other hot take was when I made my tier list, I put custodians at B, which I thought was pretty freaking generous for custodians at the time, because I
Uh-huh.
mean they can be countered completely by fusion guns, right? Like at the point
Right.
at the time, and so anyway, I was like, yeah, they're B, because I do think that there are some good units in there that could be useful, and sisters also were terrible at this point as well. You didn't take sisters. There's no point. So anyway, some guy was like, "How dare you? How dare you put them at B tier? How can you possibly think custodians are B tier? They're obviously an S tier army." And so he wrote out this thesis, and I basically just wrote back and was like, "The problem I have with them, and I understand that you really enjoy them, they are good at what they do. In close combat, they are meat grinders. Like, the problem is, though, is they need to get into close combat, and fusion guns are cheap, and they one-shot all of them."
Mhm. The, there are a few armies. Okay, there's one army that has a very fanatical, like, devotee of people that play them, and that is custodians.
Yeah.
Those guys go hard in the paint for their golden boys, and I love them for it. But sometimes it's like, guys, come on.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, don't get me wrong, 3.5 custodians, particularly with that minus range bubble. Ooh,
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, so that shotgun you've got has no range anymore. It's a close combat weapon
Right.
now.
Hmm.
Like that's great, but just regular third edition custodian didn't have that. Like they just got shot by fusion
Right.
guns and they died. Like that was the game plan basically.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Custodian players, love them. Absolutely love them. Sometimes, guys, take a chill pill.
yeah,
Sometimes.
it's great that they're so passionate about their army. I'll give them full credit for
Hmm.
that. But it's like, yeah, like just because you love them doesn't mean they're great, and that's a problem. I understand. At the time, I was a huge fan of dwarves, and they basically had one game strategy that really worked pretty much, and that was lots and lots of shotguns, basically, which is a great strategy. But at the end of the day, it's not exactly a hard strategy to overcome either with some smart play.
Hmm.
So, and also Jackals, as we've just previously spoken about. I think they're really cool. They're not great though.
Yeah, I mean, they're the aesthetic. I love painting them. I love painting jet. They're the aesthetic I love. Scrappy, you know, bashed and rusted together stuff. I love painting that. I love jackals. I love the idea of jackals. I love, every time I paint them or anytime I look at them, I just think of, just a dry desert with pieces of rust sticking out of the ground, and I love the aesthetic,
Yeah,
and I want to put them on the board. I want them to be great, but they're just, in my mind, just doesn't work yet.
yeah, their terrain is great though. I really love the look of their terrain too that OPR released. So yeah, they've got aesthetic. It's just that they don't have the rules to back it up, basically. Uh,
Not yet. Hopefully, we got a couple more weeks of 3.5 left.
yeah,
So I'm going to keep nudging Tano and be like, this, and this.
yeah. I'd really love to see Eternal Dynasty get a little bit of that like half range, AP back, but I don't think that's happening either. No one else seems to really care about it. I keep going to the Discord and being like, "Come on, someone comment about it," because I'm like, at the end of the day, while I want it, I feel like I've made it pretty clear that I'd like them not to have primal, basically, anything but primal almost. But obviously, I don't think that's going to happen. It's the same with Human Defense Force. Please give them something that isn't +1 morale. I just, not that it's a bad thing. I just find it boring, and I feel like it should be a points upgrade. You should buy the points if you want to get +1 morale, make them fancier. I don't know, but as I've said, you don't get everything you want, and they've got to balance it around everyone and take on everyone's stuff on board. So,
Right.
right.
Yeah, we are part of the feedback. So
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, particularly when I release a video, I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna watch this, and then I'm like, I hope they don't think that I'm shitting on them while I do this, because it's really not the intention. I don't think I am. I tend to be, as long as you're not Games Workshop, I tend to be
right.
pretty unbiased towards things. Games Workshop, I have to control myself on, but we'll cross that
Yeah,
bridge.
that's something that took me a while to get over. There was definitely a cut point where I was like, okay, I'm done complaining about Games Workshop. I moved into to apathy, to I don't care anymore about Games Workshop. But then they start making some of the dumbest decisions possible that affect what I'm doing over here.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yep.
fine, fine, I'll complain about you some more.
Yeah. Well, see, the second video on my channel was why I don't support Games Workshop, and I said in the video, I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, this is it. If someone asks me about something, this is the video I'm going to point them at, because I don't want to cover it after this, and then they go and do the thing they just did, which and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, now I got to talk about them again. I'm finally talking about retro Games Workshop. Talk about Warhammer Fantasy and War Master and stuff like that, and that's fine. Mordheim, for example, but I have zero interest in trying to cover modern Games Workshop stuff now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think we're good. I was just about to say the same thing actually. So yeah, I think we're all good. We've had a good old chinwag for about somewhere over an hour now, and I think we covered everything. If you guys out there in YouTube land have any questions or anything like that, chuck them up in the comments. And if you can, check out Warboss Fitz's channel, even though he's way bigger than me. But, if you can,
No.
check it out anyway, because he's a cool guy. I like his stuff. And yeah, and then, like and subscribe. I hate having to say that, but the algorithm proves that it works, so I have to say it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again, Warboss Fitz. Much appreciated. And we'll catch you on our next respective videos on the internet. All right, see you guys.